Hey, how's it going, guys? In this video, we're going to learn how to create a modern look splash screen using PyQt5. Alright, so let me just give you a demo of the splash screen that we'll be creating in this exercise. Here I'm going to run this lesson script. And when I run the script, so here we have a splash screen, represent a very modern look. And once the splash screen is finished loading, then we have this application window will pop up. And this window is basically the application that you want to launch. Alright, so that's basically the exercise we'll be doing in this video. Alright, so here let me open a new Python script. I'll name my script demo.py. I'll be using PyQt5 for this demonstration. Alright, so to create such modern look or splash screen, we're going to use CSS style sheet for most of the heavy liftings. So here let me delete this QWidget property style. I'll start everything from scratch. Here let's start with the importing statement. So from the Qt widgets module, I'll import QPushButton, QProgressBar, QLabel, and QFrame. And from the Qt core module, I'll import the Qt class and the QTimer class. And I'll also import the time module. Right, so just these libraries that I'll be using for this exercise. So here let's create our splash screen. I'll name the class splash screen. And I'll pass QWidget as the parent class. Alright, so here we're going to set the window height and window width. So it's the setFixSize method. And I'll set the window width to 1100 and window height to 500. For the splash screen, I want to remove the minimize and maximize those controls. So here we can use the setWindowFlag method, and we can use the Qt.frameless window hints value to remove the top menu. And to remove the borders, using the setAttribute method, I want to assign the value to Qt.wa underscore translucent background. And let's give our window a title. So here let's code this. Splash screen example. Now let's create a couple attributes. So the first attribute I'm going to create is the counter attribute, followed by the total seconds. So I'll set the value to 300. And let's call this total instances. Oh, total instance. Next, I want to create my QTimer object. And I'll call this self.timer is equals to QTimer. And there are a couple of things I need to do. So here I need to construct my interface for the splash window. So here I'm going to create a method called initUI. And I'll use this initUI method to construct my splash screen interface. So I'll set the layout object as a vertical box layout. And here I'll set the layout with the layout object. Now going back to the constructor, here I want to code the initUI method. Now going back to the initUI method, here I want to create a QFrame object. And I'll embed the frame object to the layout object. Inside my splash screen, I want to insert a couple labels to present the information. Alright, so we're going to have a title. Let's call this self.label title. And here I'm going to pass the frame object as the parent class. I also want to assign the object name to the self.label title object. And let's call this label title, because later on I want to set the CSS style sheets specifically just for this object. Let me take a look. Oh, I forgot to create the splash screen instance. So what I need to do is I need to go back to the main routine, and we're going to replace the myApp class with the splash screen. And I'll name the instance as splash, and it's going to be splash .show. When we launch the application, the splash screen is going to launch first. Then it's going to display a loading bar, kind of like a progress bar. And once the loading bar reaches to 100%, then we're going to close the splash screen and launch the myApp class. Here, let me run the script. And you have a typo somewhere. Oh. And this should be a background. Alright, so here's my splash screen, and it's hitting. So let me close the window. I guess I need to create all the widgets first. So here, let's go back to the init UI method. Alright, so here what I'm going to do is I want to center the label title object. And this should be labels, label title. Alright, so let's work with the label title first. I want to resize the label to, let's do self.width. So let's grab the window width first. I'm going to minus the width by 10. And I'll set the height to 150. Next, I'm going to manually move the title, the label title actually. Let's do 0 and 40. So this is going to be X and Y. Next, I'm going to set the text splash screen. Then I can set the alignment to the center. This is going to be the description label. So I'll name this label, label description. And again, I'm going to pass the self.frame object as the parent class. And I'll resize the label description. Let's insert the resize method first. So it's going to be width minus 10. For the white coordinate, I'll set it to 50. And if I want to move the label to 0 for the white value, I'm going to grab the height value from the label title. And again, I'm going to set the object name for the label description. And I'll name the object as label description. And for the text, because I'm going to load 3 different tasks, so here I'm going to say that working on task number 1. And we're going to write a script to manually update the text. I'm going to make the text bold. And here we're implementing the HTML markup basically. I want to align to the center. Oops. Alright, so we have created the labels. Now let's create our progress bar. And it's going to be a progress bar. And I'll assign the frame object as the parent. Here, let me launch the screen again. I feel I'm missing something. Oh, okay, so here's the screen. You can see that the background is transparent. And that's because we need to set the background color using CSS style sheets. And let's do that right now. Going back to app.setStyleSheet method, here let's set the CSS properties to the labels first. Here let's do the title label first. I want to set the font size to 60 pixel. And for the label color, it's going to be 93 DEED. Let me see. Right, now let's work on the description label. For the description label, I want to set the font size to 30 pixel. For the color, it's going to be C2 CED1. And for the keyframe widget, here's where we can set the background color. I want to use the color 2F4454. And for the default color, I want to use RGB value, and the value is going to be 220, 220, and 220. Alright, now let's take a look. So here we have our splash screen. Alright, so here let me close the window. Now let's go back to the progress bar. Alright, so here I'm going to resize the progress bar widget. I want to resize the progress bar based on the window width minus 200, minus 10. And for the height, I want to set that to 50. Here the reason why I want to subtract 10 is because I want to leave some space for the border margin. Right, so here let me just make a couple copies. Oops. I want to move the progress bar to 100. And for the white corner value, it's going to be the white corner value of the label description plus 130. And for the alignment, it's going to be center. And for the value format, so here we can set the formatting. I want to convert that to percentage. Then I want to set the text visibility to 2. Here's where we can set the range. And it's going to be from 0 to the end value. In case if you want to set a default value when you launch the splash window. So here let's set the default value to 20. Let's take a look. So the value of 20 is basically 6%. Next, we want to insert another label. And this label is going to display the text loading. And let me just make a couple more copies. Alright, so here we need to resize the label. And it's going to be self.width minus 10. And for the height, it's going to be 50. For the X value, it's going to be 0. For the Y value, I want to take the Y corner value from the progress bar plus 70. So numbers like these are plus 70 minus 10. So those are the numbers that I experiment based on this window size dimension that I felt has the most natural look position. Alright, so here I want to give this label an object name. And let's call this object label loading. And for the alignment, it's going to be center. And here I want to type the text loading. Alright, so this is basically all the widgets that I want to display on my splash window. Let's take a look. Alright, so here we have our splash window title, a description text, and the progress bar, and the loading text. Now I want to finish the CSS style sheets. Alright, so let's go back. And it's going to be the loading label. Alright, so for this label, I want to set the font size to 30 pixel. And for the color, it's going to be E8, E8, EB. I also want to change the appearance of the progress bar widget. And first, let's change the background color. I'm going to use the hex value, DA7, B93. Let's take a look. For the color, I want to set the RGB value to 200 across. And I want to remove the border. So set the border style to none. And for the border radius, I want to set the radius to 10 pixel. And I want to align the text to the center. And for the font size, it's going to be 30 pixel. Let me take a look. Right, now let's work on the progress bar chunk. And to change the CSS properties on the chunk, so here we need to insert the parent widget, followed by 2 colons, then the control name. And it's going to be chunk. For the progress bar chunk, I want to set the border radius to 10 pixel. And for the background color, here I want to insert a linear gradient color. So I'll insert the property name, QLinear, gradient. Now we have created the interface. The next thing we need to do is we need to create a method to perform the loading task. Now going back to the splash screen class, inside the class, I want to create a method called loading. Inside the loading method, I want to set the progress bar value, giving the counter value. Now, based on your use case, here assuming that I want to perform 3 different tasks. From the label description, we already insert the text to perform task number 1. Now here you need to figure out the proportion calculation to assign to each task. Right, so here from the counter, so if the counter is equals to 30%, so time 0.0, so n is the total number or the total loops that you want to execute. Once the counter reaches to 30% based on the n value, then I want to change the label description to working on task number 2. I want to bold the text. And once the counter reaches to 60%, then I want to change the description to working on task number 3. And here, if the counter value is greater or equals to the n value, then I want to stop the timer and close the splash screen. Delay for 1 second. Then launch the MyApp class. So here I'll create an instance of MyApp object. Then I want to display the MyApp window. And outside the if statement, I want to increase the counter value by 1. Now going back to the constructor, we need to finish configuring the timer object. So here I want to run the loading method. Now if I run the script, and here the loading screen is not, oh, I know why. I haven't started the timer. Let me run the script again. And because I didn't configure the timer speed, so here inside the starts method, I want to set the speed to 30. And 30 means that I want to set the queue timer running speed to 30 of a millisecond. Now if I run the script again, alright, so this time my progress bar is running in a much more slower pace. And once the counter reaches to 300, then it's going to close the splash screen and display the MyApp class window. Alright, so this is everything I want to share in this video, and hopefully you guys found this video useful. And as always, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys on the next video.